All right, so Chuck, 20 years at Weidenhammer. That's no mean feat. How's it feel? Congratulations.
But thanks, Russ. Well, first of all, though, thanks for inviting me to these are like your fireside chats now. You're becoming quite the expert on this since you've been here.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks. 20 years. It does make you reflect because it's gone fast.
Yeah.
I guess they say when you get older, time goes fast. It is true. Although I had to. When I looked back at it, my 20-year anniversary was last Friday, and I was just kind of thinking through how fast 20 years had gone. But it's been a great ride. I mean, it's a great industry. It's a great company. It's been fun to work with the people and the clients. The one thing I was cognizant of in just looking at kind of our staff was 20 years seems like a long time. There's 23 people that still work for the company who have been here longer than I have, right? So, roughly a quarter of our organization has been here even longer than 20 years, which is a testament to the company.
That says a lot about the culture, and we'll swing back to that. But 20 years in technology is like 200 years other places. Just how quickly it moves, how fast it all changes. How would you say, even in the last 10 years, the company has evolved and we've changed?
Wow. I think we have and we haven't. Like if I look back at just 10 years, I think the one thing that hasn't changed about our company goes all the way back to almost 50 years, right? John started this company with a mission to really be a strategic technology provider for middle market businesses. I don't know if it was that well defined at that point, but the essence of it was what kind of gave him the vision to start the company. And I don't think we've changed that much from that standpoint. Our DNA is still kind of consultants first, technologists second. Right. So what's that mean? Really what it means to us is I think what we do a really good job at is really getting in and understanding the business of our client, understanding what their challenges are, and then really looking at what the outcomes are that they're trying to achieve and how they can do that through technology. Right. That's where our kind of superpowers come in. Now, to your point, what has just unbelievably changed and the acceleration becomes even quicker is the pace of technology change. Right. So, I mean, the technology that we are deep and leveraged today is way different than 10 years ago. That was way different than, almost 50 years ago. But I think that what we do very well is drive the outcomes that our clients are looking for through the technology platforms that we support. The mission hasn't changed really. That goes all the way back to we wanted to have a firm that was very good at working with our clients to kind of design and implement and support their mission critical, their core business platforms. But again, if you look at even 20 years ago, their core business platforms were different. I mean, if I go back, 30 years ago, there were no networks. Right. So, I mean, that was a big technology change. That's a core business platform today. Right. It started off with file and print sharing, not to bore everybody with the history of technology. But I mean, we started getting into this when you were setting up networks just for file and print sharing. Look at your network today. It's your communications backbone. It's video. It's your audio communications. Right. It's not just file sharing. Right. It's being delivered through wireless. It's in the cloud. Right. So that's a core business platform, along with ERP and your data estate and your digital technology platforms for marketing, right? That's what we've gotten very good at, is looking at what those technology transitions are and consulting with our clients on when to get into them, right? When it's the right time to kind of take advantage of those technology transitions and monetize them.
Yeah, so one of the things you just did was mention a lot of different technologies. And I know one of the things that people do say to us regularly is like, you guys do so many things. It can be hard sometimes to keep it all top of mind, right? That's one thing, but then the other piece is also like the other folks that tend to do as much as we do tend to be giant consulting firms. So how are we different from those? What's our value prop against that?
Yeah, and I've heard that before, that Weidenhammer, they're a mile wide and an inch deep. But when you really look at it, there's a lot of things that we don't do. I think what we're good at is getting deep into the technologies that middle market companies are looking for, right? All middle market companies, all companies really, they need a good network communications computing infrastructure, right? That's a core technology and a core expertise of us. We know how to deliver it to middle market companies in a way that's not bloated, that's not enterprise level, but still mission critical, right? Cybersecurity, big issue in today's world, right? So that's an area of expertise for us. Then you kind of look at another, you kind of pivot a little bit and look at our business that's very heavily focused on business platforms. Call it ERP if you want, but it's ERP, CRM, accounting, finance, your data architecture that supports those business systems. Again, another focus area of us. Then you look at how companies are selling online and creating a digital experience online. So really, it looks like we do everything we don't. I mean, it's kind of broken down into those pillars, if you will, those centers of excellence. But we're very, very planned in terms of the technologies that we support to drive the outcomes that we think our clients look for in this marketplace.
That is well said. Better than I have been able to articulate it. I like that a lot.
Well, but I think the other thing too, and you know this, Russ. I mean, focusing on the middle market puts us a little bit different than you talk about the bigger companies that deliver it. We don't have the overhead of the bigger companies, right? I think we also are very cognizant about we can provide the strategy and then have a relationship with our client from strategy through execution through support. A typical middle market company is constrained a lot of times by resources. They don't have unlimited budgets. They're running on tight margins a lot of times. They don't have a lot of room for error with the technology decisions that they're making, and they need a partner who they trust, who understands their business and can support them through that life cycle. You get into the larger enterprise companies, they're very good at strategy, but they're going to give you a 100-page document and say, good luck. That's not what a middle market company needs. They need somebody who can supplement the skills that they have inside their organization, but take them from strategy through execution through support.
Yeah, I think that starts to play into back to that culture piece. What layers on top of everything you just said? There's capability, that's one thing. But one of the things that always made me such a fan of Weidenhammer, even before I came here, was there's a certain ethos, there's a continuity in the way that people interact and kind of the service that you get and the interaction and the relationships. That has to have been conscious, right? Or did it just happen because we hired great people?
I think part of it is we've been very fortunate in that we've created a culture where we attract great people and we've retained great people. Again, 23 people who have been here longer than me. Roughly a quarter of our workforce. I think the other thing too, and maybe I'll attribute this to our Berks County heritage, right? Very manufacturing, very working class, very let's just roll up our sleeves and get it done. There's not a lot of flash to us. We're not the big flashy agency, big flashy technology firm. We're just as good as them, right? We're just as deep technology-wise. We're just as confident in what we can deliver, but we do it in a way that's just, we're going to roll up our sleeves. I don't know, what do you want to call it? Working class, roll up our sleeves and get it done. We're going to partner with the client. We understand the outcomes that we're working for, what needs to get done, and we get it over the finish line.
That was a huge selling point for me. Like, without the hyperbole, without the bluster, just, hey, we've seen big things before. We were here before the internet came online. So AI, for example, let's just relax and look at it with a clear head. This is what we'll do. Very practical. It's been a strong.
I've said it before. I sometimes think that we are too humble amongst ourselves, I don't want to be the opposite. I don't want to be vanity here. But when I do look at the technology transitions that this company has gone through in almost 50 years. It's just amazing. When this company started off, it was mainframe and mid-range green screen terminals that we were writing software for. There were no manufacturing systems. There were no accounting systems. It was all custom software. We cut our teeth on that. But then we went through the transition of client server and Windows and networking and the internet and online commerce, right? And the Internet of Things and wireless. And now it's AI and it's big data, right? We've been through all those technology transitions. We've been fortunate and deliberate to be able to stay out ahead of them. We spend a lot of time because that's an obligation that we have to our clients, right? They expect us to be out in front of this and knowing when these transitions are occurring and when the right time it is for them to get into these technologies and be able to use them and monetize them. So that's an obligation that we have to our clients. But when I think about how successful we've been doing that through 50 years, sometimes maybe we should be a little bit more vain than we are,
Yeah.
but that serves us well. It provides
does,
a
it
good
does.
part of our ethos and our culture.
Yeah, and so with that legacy of 50 years, with all of that knowledge, with all of that know-how, and still, and I can attest to it, still super hungry, super passionate, learning every day, willing to make changes, willing to take risks. What's next? We're 50 years in, but still hungry. What do you think the next 5, what do the next 10 look like?
Yeah, I think what we strive towards, and a lot of people internally have heard me say this before. I'm proud as punch at what we've accomplished, right? But I'm never satisfied with where we are, right? There's always more that we can do. We can run better, faster. I think that what we're focusing on now for the next 5 years is to really be known as the preeminent business transformation partner for middle market in what I'll call the Mid-Atlantic region. I mean, we're wider than that now. We're in 26 different states with the clients that we support, but we have a heavy concentration in this region, and I think we could do more in this region, right? So want to do that. Want to really focus on delivering just an exceptional client experience, right? And that's how I've seen us evolve over maybe the last 5 years. Technology's taken us somewhat because of that. But if I look back 10 years ago, back to your question before, we had these different, it's kind of a diversification strategy. We had these different areas, these different business units and centers of excellence, but they pretty much operated as standalone businesses. Today they don't. Very heavily integrated. Part of that is by necessity, right? Companies, if you're building, we're in with a client building their e-commerce storefront. We're having to work with them to manage all the data that's coming out of Google Analytics, their storefront, and being able to merge that in with data that's in their CRM, their ERP system, to give them a forward-looking view of their business and how to manage it. In the old days, you'd build the storefront, that was a silo. Somebody else might be doing your data warehouse. We're rolling out applications now and ERP systems like Microsoft Business Central. Well, that sits on top of the Microsoft Cloud stack that we're very good at designing and optimizing and managing, right? So these parts integrate much more now than they used to before, and that's a strength, and I think that's a differentiator for us. We're kind of purpose built to be able to leverage all these different areas of expertise to deliver one unified solution, and in many cases support it for the client moving forward.
Right, and all of that empowered and supported by AI, both in terms of the solutions and also in terms of internally how we work. I mean, it's a wild new frontier.
Well, AI is just the new technology transition, right? And it's I'm not understating it. It's big. It's a societal change. It's it's bigger than even when we went through the .com era and the internet. But again, I mean, we've been way out ahead of this. I mean, in some respects, old timers like me have been dealing with AI for 30 years, right? Agentic AI and what we're seeing now and the pace and change of it is certainly different. But I mean, we've been on our own AI journey for over 2 years now. I think we are very far advanced in terms of how we're using AI, not just as what I would consider a virtual assistant, which is not to be understated. I think we've done a great job of utilizing AI to make our team members more effective, more productive, better at their jobs. It wasn't necessarily a job elimination strategy. It was how to put their expertise on steroids, right, to deliver more value to the client. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is how much can we automate through agents? Can we build out agents that our people are managing to get things done quicker, more efficient, bring more value to clients? We've been on this journey for over 2 years now, so I think we're way ahead. And the benefit to that is we have this body of knowledge that we're sharing with our clients and the work we're doing for them.
Awesome.
But game changing.
Yeah, big time. So many exciting things going on. Chuck, thank you for your overview and your oversight. Thank you for continuing to watch. And as always, we are here for a conversation. We look forward to having it with you.
Thank you.